ideas and some tips for you to try to make your household a little better place to hang out.
Yeah, especially when it's this cold.
And that's exactly what you said you were thinking about coming in today.
Yeah, well, for one thing, if you haven't got your house tightened up.
And what do you mean by tightened up?
Air leaking into the house, water. A lot of people don't realize that a lot of the rot that happens in your house happens this time of year, not during the rainy season, because the snow will sit on the little ledges and what little rain you get, and then it freezes, and then in the daytime the sun hits it, and even though it's really cold outside, when that sun hits it, it melts and it slowly seeps in. And so if you've got areas that need caulking or what have you, now would be the time to get that. It's going to be 45 on Saturday.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. You know, that's warm enough to.
Can you caulk when it's that?
Yes, you can.
Okay.
And so, you know, not that anybody wants to, you know,
That's
but
true.
you know, if you have anything like that you want to do, now would be the time to do it.
Now, what about the windows? That seems to be the focal point of a lot of people trying to save money when it comes to saving the heat inside your home this time of year.
Right. A lot of people put the plastic up.
Now, what's your thoughts on the plastic on the windows?
Well, if you can't afford windows, then it's a good thing to do. I like the shrink on the inside. You know, everybody knows that now. It used to be new, but that's like 20 years ago. So.
It helps,
you know,
right? I mean,
it does. It really helps. You put the tape on the inside, take the hairdryer to it, and shrink down. That is the best for stopping air infiltration. What you got to watch in a lot of houses, though, is no insulation. Like I was just in a house last week, and I told them, I said, you know, I've got to do new construction windows. I was the fourth guy to come out and give them a quote, and I was the only one to tell them that. And I said, put your hand over here on the wall around your windows. Put your hand here, now put it over by the windows. And you could feel how cold it was. I said, the problem is you can put the most expensive, best window in the world in that opening, which is what we call a pocket window or a replacement window, which is what most companies sell, and that sits inside the frame of the old window. Well, if the window was installed and was not insulated properly or sealed around the outside, you're still going to have air infiltration. You're still going to lose money. It's going to be better than what you have, but it's not going to be as good as it could be.
Right.
And so,
what's the price difference between just swapping the window out and doing what you want to do?
that's going to run you about 20%. You know, so I mean, it's not really that much when you look at. I mean, if you're doing the whole house of windows, it could add up, and everybody's got a budget. What you got to look at is you know, spending your money wisely.
Long
you know,
term.
you might be better off to take and put in new construction and do the north side of the house. Or I always tell people, start with the coldest room in the house. If you can only do 2 windows, you know, I always say do the kids' bedroom.
Right.
You know, do the most important ones in your house first, and then work out. But one of the things that concerns me, I was on my way in, I heard a story on fire, and I wanted to bring up, you know, you want to be very careful this time of year. People with Christmas lights and trying to tighten up their house and stuff, using space heaters and things like that. You know, we always hear about fires, and it's just disheartening when you hear about somebody losing their home and their belongings. And
now, when it comes to space heaters, are there any that you think are safer than the other brands or the other types of heaters? Not the brands, but the types of heaters.
Well, I was just in. Matter of fact, just myself. I was in. I've got a gal that comes in and works, does my books. And in the office, it's kind of cold in that area. And so I was in over the last weekend at Menards for their 11% sale. I wanted to get her a heater. And I actually got some education myself on that, because the Menards has a really nice, it talks about all the different types of heaters that they have and how they work. And I think I lean towards like the Eden Pure, because it's made in America. They've got the Chinese version, but I lean towards the made in America. But it works off of
The
no
radiant
open
heat?
flame. Yeah, there's no open flames. You don't have to worry about paper getting up against it and starting a fire or what have you. You know, or like the old radiator type. It looks like a radiator, but it's actually got silicone oil inside it.
Oh, that's what's in there. I was wondering what was inside that. Okay.
Yeah, and so those are less likely to catch fire. So if you've got like a pump house or something like that, the old exposed heating elements or the heat bulbs and things that people use, those are more dangerous. You know, they're more apt to cause a fire. So.
Yeah, so you mentioned the Eden Pure. There's other brands that are similar to those that use the same type of thing.
Yeah,
so
I'm not affiliated in any way with Eden
no,
Pure. I just, as I looked at all of them, that was the one that I settled on.
I have one of those, and I have one of their competitors too, because those type of heaters, they really do work. It's amazing how well they work. So just look around. You can do a little research on those.
And also, you're not just looking at the startup cost. You're also looking at the operating cost on it. You know, and
And it does reduce your cost. Now, what about around the doors? What about your doorways?
We like to take and they actually do have seal kits. I mean, we can take a drafty door and go out and put a seal kit around it and stop the drafts. You can replace the door completely. Obviously we sell doors and so I'm not afraid to sell you a new door.
Now, would you prefer a steel door or a wooden door?
Fiberglass.
Fiberglass door, not
Fiberglass.
neither one. Okay.
I'm big on fiberglass. It's not going to rot. It doesn't transfer like your steel doors do. The big thing is, like on the doors that we sell, if you look or you think about it, there's a lot of doors out there. When you look at them, the bottom from where the threshold is about up like this, it starts rotting out. Because they started finger joining wood together to make the jambs now, and they're using spruce and lesser quality woods, and they rot more rapidly. And then they put a primer on top of it, and they say it's ready for paint. Well, what they're doing is they're covering up. They're using cheap materials. And so what we use is actually a closed cell PVC. It'll never rot. It won't absorb moisture, and it'll be there forever. And so that's what our jambs are made out of. Fiberglass door with a true thermal break built around it, so you don't get that transference when it's really the sun's on it in the summer, or when it's really cold like today. You don't walk up and feel the cold on the inside. Another thing is underneath. People walk on that threshold of the door. Drives me crazy. You're not supposed to walk on the threshold of the door, but everybody does. I know it. I can't help it. When people come in my house, I'm like, well, okay, I quit talking about it. My wife's like, that's rude. But
So how often do you
step over the threshold?
How often do you need to change that then? Because some of the thresholds have the little rubber.
Most of them, well, see, that's just the thing, is most of them, it's just like everything else with technology. They've gotten so much better, it's about better to change the door. By the time.
Really?
Yeah, because the thresholds, they used to put wood underneath them for the support. Well, that wood rots out. And it always gets moisture down there at that bottom, and so depending on how it's setting,
So it's never going to be even. Yeah.
right. So you get that out. Any kind of water damage, dry rot that happens, replace that sub seal, put a new door in. Ours has a actual same material closed cell PVC underneath it. So if you wanted to carry something heavy like a freezer or a gun safe or something that's really heavy across that threshold, you're not going to hurt it. It's not going to compress and bend the aluminum.
Oh, okay.
Because aluminum's soft, and you want to make sure you got a threshold that's adjustable, because as that rubber wears, you mentioned, you can adjust that threshold up. And a good way to check a door, you take a dollar bill and you put down over the threshold and shut the door. When you pull on that dollar, it should slide in but give resistance.
Right.
And so when you feel resistance, you know that it's airtight, but it should still slide in. You don't want it too tight, because then you're wearing your seals out too soon. And you can test all the way across. That's one of the reasons that it's adjustable.
I'm making a note right there. I need to check that.
If you
in
have
the
no
basement
resistance,
too.
then dollars are going out of your door.
That's true. That's true.
Especially on
Dollar bill test when I get home.
Yeah, and your door should have a 1/8-inch gap when you're looking at the door. On the hinge side, across the top, and on the strike side of the door, there should be a 1-inch gap or an 1/8-inch gap, which is about the thickness of a 50-cent piece.
Okay.
Yeah, the old carpenter that trained me carried a 50-cent piece with him as a gauge. So
just take this and put it on the side.
Yep, you can take it. That's how much should be there for adequate.
Right.
And they sell. You can go into Menards, and like if you look at your door, one of the things that really cause leaking, look in the corners. And even if it's not daylight, if you open the door, because our air is so dusty in Iowa, when the air comes through, when it hits and comes through, it'll deposit just a little bit of dust, and that dust builds up. So you open it up, and there'll be like a little fan mark there where there's an air leak. It's real small, and then as it comes on in, it spreads out, and that's when the wind's blowing. It's carrying either the hot air or the cold air, whichever you don't want. It's bringing in.
There you go.
And they sell at Menards. They sell little. I sound like a work Menards, don't I? That is where I buy my
They love
lumber
you.
and stuff. Yeah, I buy a lot of stuff there. I don't buy my siding and my roofing.
Well,
and
know
that
something
kind of
that's
stuff
good about that? They advertise in this program
There
too.
you go.
Oh,
So that's a good
awesome,
thing. Yes, that's a good thing. So thank you, Menards. But here, more information on this or anything else that needs to be done so you can button up your house, get it sealed up before the really cold temperature gets here. Just get a hold of Rebel.
Thank you.
Drop you an email.
Yep, you can drop me an email at rebel@allamerican4u.com or at 515-255-4872.
There it is. Perfect. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Hopefully you save people from being cold this upcoming week and in the future.
Well, I'd like to.
There
And
you have
also
it.
safe. Yeah.
It is 7:52. We'll be right back. You're watching Great Day Live in Des Moines.